current G2 team. But we showed off Chalet earlier, and we can show it off again because the game is ready, and we're going to go live into a DarkZone versus G2 Esports. They're not called Gamers 2 anymore. No, no, sir. But here we go. And we'll get underway with the operator bans. G2 will be starting Chalet on defense. Overtime is in the cards if required. We do have OT.
All right, so first ban right out the gate. Let's see what G2 give us. It's going to be a Flores. So, all right, Flores, nothing too crazy. We've seen him a couple times banned on Chalet. I think a more common ban recently has been Zero for this map, as he has been very useful here. DarkZone is a team that takes particular use of that operator, and I think that they might do in this match. Thatcher also going to be banned. That's much more standard from DarkZone. And their second ban, Mira, yeah, just a standard. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Valkyrie ban here. Chalet is a map that enables Valkyrie quite a lot. But with Flores ban, maybe G2 will give us something new, something interesting, something specifically tailored for DarkZone. Let's find out what they decide. They're deliberating a little bit here. They're taking their time with this final ban.
Valkyrie obviously has surged in terms of that ban rate. Ooh,
but it's
Goyo. Is that allowed? We're in Mexico.
I like this a lot, and it is kind of a bit of a crime. But
I think that's against the rules. You can't ban the Mexican operator when you're in Mexico.
I don't know if I go that far,
it's
but
not allowed.
I really like it though.
Okay.
Technically, they're not playing in Mexico right now. The map is. I mean, there's a lot of snow.
And none of the French operators got banned. So maybe you know what? Maybe you're correct.
In a way, it works.
Physically in Mexico, but please proceed because you said that it was interesting.
No,
I don't want to derail you too much.
I like this ban a lot. Now we've seen the bar defenses time and time again. Those shields by Chimney and top back stairs, so relevant. Goyo is a free pick for both those shields. You don't have to work the rest of your lineup into shield operators when you bring the Goyo, and it just is so convenient. So taking away that convenience factor, especially for the bar defense, is going to be really relevant, and I like that ban a lot from G2.
All right, they're going to be starting upstairs. There's 4 bomb sites here on Chalet, and for a period of time, they were all viable, but basement site is not quite where it used to be. We're going to see teams likely go through bar gaming, which is, across most regions, the most defendable bomb site, successfully held and being shown on your screen right now. Then you've also got the upstairs bomb site, which works in a pinch. And then almost directly below it, you've got that kitchen dining bomb site, too. That will almost certainly come out at some point. I expect, with the way that we see Chalet, that teams will go to more than just 2 sites. I don't necessarily agree that it's enough of a defensive contest where a team will get the full cycle and go through all 3 sites, but we'll see. Obviously, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see the full cycle because, I mean, it's been talked about a lot. That bottom floor site on this map at a competitive level. I know that it's favored and ranked. At a competitive level, real bad. There's just too many opportunities for the attackers to strangle you, but we've talked about the sites. Looking at it this round, looks like it's going to be a Solarium take, and early on, some damage to Hungry. I think he took that through the drone hole. You can get a nice angle outside to shoot the feet of players who are crossing by. Not entirely sure, but you do see some bullet holes there, so it's likely. Putting Hungry low on HP early on helps a lot for DarkZone, so that tagging is going to definitely aid them further into the round. I will say it would have been obviously better if they got the pick, but for more reasons than just the active gun of Hungry, as impressive as he is, that cardiac sensor and C4 combo is going to be really painful to deal with, especially if DZ doesn't put adequate focus on this downstairs clear.
And they've still got the information that there's somebody out by the window playing into Trophy. Eclipse with the first grenade, not as successful as he'd want it. Second grenade goes in, and that one looks like it does the trick, but I don't know what he was necessarily trying to hit with that one.
Well, I
don't know if he was potentially trying to bounce it to get the Electric Claw or not. Kayak was nearby, but there's no damage done on behalf of any member of G2. Nitro Cell expended. Hungry had gotten a read on NJR's position on that master bedroom window. But now we hit the pause button. We're halfway through this first round.
Yeah, so that C4 is going to give Hungry an angle to aggressively challenge, but no damage done. Kayak will eat some damage in the closet. Not great. G2 continuing to get tagged up. A lack of finishing off on these engagements, though, it might still come back to bite DZ later in the round. It's not ideal when you get those opportunities and all you do is, some damage here and there.
Eclipse is so close to getting Kayak's position inside a closet, but for now, he's not moving any muscles whatsoever. They've got that Solarium control. They've got bathroom. NJR is still on that rappel as well, watching to the master bedroom window.
Oh, wow. they are practically breathing down each other's necks at this point. And the C4s are missing for G2.
It's the second botched C4.
Which is very lucky for DZ as they continue to gain ground.
More frag grenades will go in. Kayak will still persevere. Down below him is the Pulse of Hungry, who's also very low on HP from that earlier bout. And they'll break on in. There you go. Hyper gets the very first pick. It is traded off. Down he goes in hands of Hungry. So you didn't deal with the Pulse earlier on. That's okay, but he's still able to do some work from that. Panbazou the second for DZ. BC in the midst of it. Downed, Panbazou is. So BC will have to do some more. 20 seconds left. Virtue pivots, and he engages. A very nice fight on his end, but they're traded off. And BC swiftly cleans that one up, giving DZ the first round.
Wow. Okay, so definitely a well-put-together attack for DarkZero's. But a couple things, and this is important. No downstairs clear. Not really. You've got a Pulse down there. So had the Pulse not expended his C4 earlier on a unlikely kill on the window, he possibly could have used that C4 to great effect on the DZ players pushing up from Solarium. Further, not a lot of contention for G2 on the Solarium side. They essentially gave Solarium to DarkZero, which you do not want to do. As soon as that beachhead is attained, as the attacking team on that site, you have a lot of ground to work with, and that's exactly what DarkZero did. They used their ground very well, patiently, considering how slow their attack was. They had a lot of opportunities to...
Disappointing first two matches for Cyclops, by the way. Or rather, just disappointing first match for Cyclops.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
I mean, you got shut down by BDS.
Absolutely shut down.
Which...
The roam was really
There's
weak.
a long list of teams that have, been in similar positions.
Yes.
So...
Yes, not a new thing.
No.
But focusing on this match, we've actually got, finally, the game back and ready. So thank you to production for
We're in it.
Sorting out that technical issue. Now, with this, it's going to be at the same site, same setup here. You're getting the reinforcements downstairs. The only major difference is that you're no longer bringing that Pulse. So the C4s will still be relevant. You've got two in the pocket of Kayak and Drunka, and the setup overall the same, just different kit.
Same.
But different. Yeah.
But still same.
Yeah.
So we'll see what changes can be made. Earlier on, Hungry on that Pulse roll, you talked about it, now he's on the Wamai, so that's a change for G2.
I like that change.
But outside of Wamai's utility and what he brings from that gadget to waste, or rather eat up the utility that we see from the attackers, the one thing as well to note is that's very vital information that is no longer available. Additionally, there were 2 bulletproof cameras that were brought by G2 in the last round just to add to what they already had from the Pulse. There's only one available right now.
Yeah.
So the changes that G2 have made will no doubt cost them information, but they have to make it up somewhere else. Is it in that utility soak style? What's it going to be?
Ooh. Hungry eating the nade, and oh, that is really
Nicely
rough, Parker,
done.
because obviously it's a little funny. He's playing on Wamai, and he doesn't have the discs up ready to protect himself. It is kind of early in the round, but well done to NJR getting that pick off at the beginning of the round. And DarkZero find themselves now in pole position. They're ready to push this forward.
Now, that did cost quite a bit of secondary gadgetry from DarkZero. There's no sets of nades left on what is a 3-nade lineup for DarkZero at the moment. The only one that's got it left is Panbazou. But it cost Eclipse both of his and NJR both of his to secure the kill, which is honestly is okay. Petrocell tossed out as we're talking, and that's a very routine throw. Eclipse has seen that many, many times in the North American League. He backs away from that one, and we've seen 90 seconds Eclipse so far through this round.
Yeah, and while the first pick did go to G2, or sorry, rather to DarkZero, pardon me, what I am liking actually in this round from G2, focusing on them, is their hold in Solarium. They're actually much more stalwart here. They are going to lose Jonka, though, from that very last set of nades. It takes both of them. But now this is where you start to bleed out. 2 players down, and DarkZero have firm control. The only thing they don't have is that beachhead we talked about earlier, that position in Solarium, which they can use as the platform to attack the rest of the site. So this is still not a 1 round for DZ.
No, and when we talk about this site and the way that it gets cracked open, once you have that Solarium control and you can move then towards closet and towards bathroom, and you open all that up, it forces the defenders so far back. It doesn't matter what the number situation is at the time. Obviously, G2 trailing, not so ideal. But now the rubber's going to need to hit the road for DarkZero. They'll open things up on the ensuing attack. 35 seconds remaining, and the execute nets them 1 kill. They're looking for more than that. Some gunfire from G2 is hitting its marks, but there's so much work to be done. Case in the hands of BC, he's planting. Does Virtue know? Does Citizen know? That's the real question. Virtue's position given away, it's a successful plant for BC, and it's a 5v1. These changes, the small tinkering that G2 has done, not paying immediate dividends and certainly not paying any in the long run. There's one kill to deny the flawless from Citizen, 4 more to go. He sees the Tracers go through the wall, one on Repel that he'll have to hunt down. This is where it's going to get tricky, and it's NJR. They both have the same gun in their hand, funny enough, but NJR is just better with it on the angle that he is, and DZ picks up their second round.
Wow, really impressed with the textbook nature of the execution here from DZ. It does, in some way, look like they're being a little slow. DarkZone it almost leaves the thought in the head, the lingering of, okay, DZ are set up to execute, but they aren't fully committing, and that could cause problems in the long run. I thought it would, not so, because G2 are leaving themselves vulnerable. I mean, in that last round, we had a Jaeger and a Wamai.
Yes.
And 3 nade kills.
Yep.
So it's, I mean, it's if you have the tools and they're not being utilized correctly, that falls on you. DarkZone also bringing excess nades to accomplish the goals that they want. They clearly know what they're trying to do, and you can buy their skin in the store if you want to support them directly. If you're impressed by the 2 rounds we've seen from DarkZone so far, or just by their overall career as players, definitely check out the esports tab within Rainbow Six in-game, and it's a good way, again, to support the team in a very direct fashion.
Well, third time is not a charm. We talked about how we were going to see different sites emerge on Chalet, and after 2 unsuccessful attempts, G2 are done completely with that upstairs bomb site. Instead, they're going to go to the main floor, and with this, they're going to put a heavy presence basically everywhere but that bar gaming site. Right now, almost every single player on G2 is not within the confines of the bomb site.
No, this is a very extensive roam from G2, and that's, I think, the right play on Chalet for most sites, in fact. We've seen them trying to roam on everywhere they've gone so far. You can see that DarkZone want to go for some downstairs pressure, and they will be successful in getting a mute jammer and opening up that snowmobile wall. That's really good because they can use that to clear the roamers out downstairs.
Yeah, and you can see there's 2 of them playing in wine, back to back, or side to side, or front to back. We don't really know. We just saw the silhouettes.
You know, yeah, whatever they're comfortable with.
Hyper shakes 1 off, but Jonka will remain. A new look for Zofia as that AK variant that was the main weapon that she used has seen some changes, and now the LMG is being brought out in favor of that. So that'll be what you see in the hands of most of the players playing Zofia, and we've seen it in the earlier matches too.
Yeah.
Obviously trade-offs, but it's the LMG is not a bad weapon, and of course, if you're looking for any kind of bullet caliber-based destruction, it's quite handy at it.
I think it's got 150 rounds in that drum as well, but
yes.
Focusing in on NJR. Down goes Citizen to start off the round, halfway through the round just about, mind you, but we've been seeing consistently slow takes from DarkZone, and it hasn't been a problem for them yet.
Yeah. I mean, DZ managed the clock as much as they want to see fit, and the big struggle for DarkZone, at least historically, has always been that mid-round. What do they do from the mid-round onward, and how do they pivot towards an execute? Well, so far, they've been able to give themselves quite a substantial lead in the early round that allows them to continue to snowball through the mid and then get the execute under their belts.
Ooh, that position from Hyper is going to be big. Hungry is the tool that will have to hold on to this position. Perfect position for the job. Let's see if he can pull it off. He's got to hold the downstairs access as well, as DZ have firm control below. Eclipse is ready to pounce. And it looks like Hyper will actually leave to assist his teammates trying to clear upstairs, and he'll be successful in that endeavor. Down goes Virtue, and the kills are continuing to mount for DarkZone.
They have a nice cross established as well, and Eclipse could come head-to-head with Jonka if he just continues up this set of stairs. He knows that Hungry's in that area, but he doesn't know the exact location of the Wamai, who's playing more up top. Hungry will come back down. Jonka with the DMR, trying out dual NJR. 1 kill for Hungry, and G2 desperately needs them. No more, though, from Jonka. He's gone. NJR picks up his 2nd kill. Hungry still positioned right now, just waiting inside of that mudroom. And another kill for G2 on the board. But 20 seconds remaining. G2 needs to find something. Down goes Kayak. Hungry in a 1v3. He doesn't have any of the kills so far for his team. Or he has 2 kills so far for his team. He'll have to get some more. Just narrowly missing out on NJR. He knows his position is tough, and he gets... Damn smile.
No,
or darn. No swearing.
The darn
No,
smile.
broadcast.
So, no, but DarkZone, their execution so far, every single one of these rounds, I have been looking at these setups from DZ, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, they're way too far back. This is dangerously slow from DZ. And you really do not often see teams take that kind of position and then translate it to success. But what's happening is G2, they're leaving themselves just exposed enough to open up those opportunities for DZ to get the picks on the angles that they know. That angle from Hyper onto Chimney, I mean, it looks simple, right, when you see it from his perspective, but it's clearly the type of thing that DarkZero has well rehearsed. They understand what control they need to force in order to push the Jaeger into the exposed position on Chimney, and then Hyper is there to catch that kill. And it's a literal use of time, but it is a very efficient use of time from DZ, and it obviously has netted them 3 rounds.
Yeah. Well, I predicted G2 in this one, actually. I don't think I gave DZ either in our predictions. I know the matches, because DZ plays NiP up next. G2 coming in is just such a question mark, and we said this countless times during the 6th Invitational, and I think you're going to hear it quite often. So if it wasn't said by Blue and Stokes or Dez and Ace, who are on the other stream at the moment, let me be the first to say this, potentially, is that, well, we haven't really had a lot of international events, so we don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, you're definitely the first one to say that at this LAN event. Yeah,
nobody's ever. It's a very original idea.
It's a good point
to say that. Actually,
I'm concerned that it hasn't been brought up already because we're supposed to be professionals, and it's an excellent observation, Parker. Thank you
very much. Just my uniqueness.
Yes,
my
you're
thought,
special.
my being profound and thoughtful. Oh my! Speaking of. Hyper just walks right in and murders Citizen in cold blood, and he's going to stay there and wait and just hold off. Hungry had the angle on him if he wanted to, but he looks the other way.
So I will say that Citizen had the advantage in that fight. So great reactions from Hyper to pre-fire the corner, expecting Citizen to peek around. He got that headshot. Good stuff. Now, Hyper won't be able to extend too far out of this because of Kayak's position, lower back stairs. But still, the early pick. And I don't think DZ has failed to get that early pick once yet, and they're continuing to add to it. All of these rounds seem almost identical at this point, Parker, despite the fact that we continue to change sides. We're now on our 3rd, and G2 are still struggling.
8 kills by NJR, a smoke goes up and out, and Panbazou almost dies from it, still holding that position upstairs in Library. Virtue not close enough, I think, to the site as he wants, though he's above it. Waiting for somebody to push him through the double doors above. Kayak obviously taking that beating earlier on. He and Panbazou both so low, and still 2 toxic canisters remaining for Kayak as well, as we, despite the action, still have half of the round to go.
Yeah, this has been the fastest round thus far. We've been seeing DarkZero, again, be very slow. I think the reason this has been one of the faster rounds is because of G2, actually. Because DZ does not seem to have changed. They've got a working formula. Why should they?
Right.
G2, on the other hand, are getting much more aggressive with their fights. They're trying to shift the formula so that they can gain some sort of advantage here. Clip's going for his nade kill over the wall, and it'll detonate a little too early. Hungry gets away from that, and he will Scarper back to Kitchen. I think it's good for him to play safe in this situation.
Here's the issue that Virtue's going to have right now. He's over top of the site in office. He's hovering between office and bedroom. The issue that he has is that if he's engaged in a 1v1 up there, there are still 4 players from DarkZero to go against the 2 from G2 that are going to be downstairs closer to the action. And speaking of action, exothermic charge in the hands of BC. It looks like the hard destruction is going to be coming out. That will open up the wall into dining where the diffuser can then get planted. Hungry will be playing long range from that by the doorway just in West Main. Hear the sound of a Gone 6 go off. Likely culprit is Panbazou. A nice shot onto the clone that goes on in, so that's information gained. Virtue from above. Well, this pays off. Looking for another. Kayak down for the count, though. Now Virtue's in tough as he's the last one left alive. Still in this position, but he doesn't get a line of sight as the smoke will not clear fast enough. If he tries to emerge from office, Eclipse is going to be there to win. And the headphones, or the headset, goes right back up. And we go right back into the action. And so far, DZ on an attacker-sided map are putting in work. They are flawless through those 4 rounds with their opening duels. They have won every single entry. They came very close to a flawless round. And in fact, even in the rounds that weren't particularly close, G2 hasn't been all that close. Most of these rounds are quite so lopsided, and the 4-0 scoreline really does tell you the full story about what's going on in this matchup.
The most impressive part about it for me on the DarkZero side is the fact that G2 are shifting gears. They are changing things up. We saw at G2 early on where they played very conservatively. We're going to hold hard on site, many anchors. Yes, they did have the roams downstairs when they were defending Master, I admit that. But that's the type of roam that is anchored and very strategic. It's not like the, okay, you go far afield and see what you can accomplish. And maybe delay the enemy. It's more like, okay, we have a plan. We're going to C4 from below. That's our strategy. If that doesn't work out at that point, it's going to take too much time for the enemy to actually rotate to site. Anyway, G2's strategy did not work there. DZ somehow managed to make that completely useless. They didn't even address downstairs directly too much. They just made sure trophy was clear. And then when G2 shifts to, we're going to do a heavy roam, that didn't work. That got slapped aside. And now the question is, what can G2 do on defense to stop DZ?
Well, we've seen the 3 bomb sites, right? Going through bedroom, barn, kitchen. It's a second attempt at kitchen. Yeah, all but the bottom bomb site, which I don't suspect we're going to see pop up at any point. Some teams did try it when Chalet was newer to the map rotation here, but it is hazardous for your health as a defender. At one point, I think the win rate for the defense with a very large sample size was only like 30%. Anyway, all this happens, and I don't know exactly what Panbazou was trying to do, but he gets that first pick.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I'm noticing, this is consistent with DZ throughout all of these rounds. They really have the lines. All the rotations we're seeing from G2 get punished at one point or another. And again, the entry from DarkZone into West Lobby, and they're going to get, wow, Hungary! What an impressive performance from Hungary. He makes this bad situation somewhat salvageable. If Virtue can get one, and he does, he might be able to win the round, but no, NJR with the cleanup, and DarkZone, they get yet another round. That's 5 in a row.
All right, well, if G2's strategy was to avoid overtime against DZ, they're doing an excellent job of it right now. Let's be completely frank. Because you're down 5-0, you're probably not getting there at this point.
No.
I mean, the big thing for me is going to be when the side swap comes in. Yeah. This is the final round. This is the final defense for G2, final round of the first half. And back upstairs to bedroom. This will be the 3rd attempt at this site for G2. And capping off the first half, they went to master bedroom 3 times, kitchen twice, bar once. Bar is usually your saving grace. There is a very specific meta that Chalet is played on in North America that I have no doubt that DZ were likely ready to rumble with. It involves Frost, it involves a Rooney, it involves playing far back, wasting time. But G2's lineup is nothing like that. And this is where we see these regions collide. And when we talk about LAN events and how a different region can play a different style, what you're seeing from G2 is so far divorced of what DZ battles every single day when they play in North America. Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a stark contrast, Parker. And sometimes they just line up in ways that you wouldn't expect. This is one of those times, I would say. I also do think, though, that DZ are playing a very different Chalet than I am used to seeing in North America. They're very patient. Yes. You've talked about this. They're very, very patient. And I don't want to steal the analyst jobs too much, but DarkZone, this has been discussed, are very good at preparing for these best of ones, and they have clearly very well prepared for this particular one. So it's great to see from DarkZone. I do wonder how this is going to translate to the playoffs later on, but there's some impressive angles being held by the DarkZone on attack. Their control is phenomenal, and it is very clearly rehearsed. And I like to see that. I like to see DarkZone prepared. It's the best form of DarkZone. Yeah, very different look from them. And I would say for those that watch the EUL as much as they want, this is not the G2 that kept pace with BDS and Team Empire and Na'Vi at the top of the standings for the entire season. This is a G2 team that looks like they are not fully prepared for what's coming their way. Yeah. Obviously, the system that DarkZone is playing has been quite strong so far. And unique, too. They're very unique, and they're working into it, right? A lot of teams will save strats, which makes me hurt to say that out loud, but lots of teams will keep things in their pocket, including the way that they want to play certain bomb sites and certain maps. And it's very clear that DarkZone did that, because this also looks quite different in many ways from the DZ that we see on Chalet back in the NA League. It very much does, Parker. Now, early entry here is going to work for Jonka as he is ready in back bar storage. Down goes BC. Not a great start, especially with the diffuser in hand, and he'll get a second as Hyper whiffs hardcore on the vault. Not a third, though. Panbazou is there and ready. So DZ, do not let that slip too far away. But this is the first lead-off pick we've seen from G2, and it might translate to their first defensive round. But it's not over yet, as Virtue finds himself in a rack corner. Panbazou does not check, and now DarkZone, well, they find themselves in an even worse position. Virtue shrugs off that grenade. NJR is down, and G2, after taking their timeout, seem to have everything going for them in their favor, breaking the streak that DarkZone has been on thus far. Ooh. Eclipse just tossing out his final grenade. He's still got as many swings of that hammer as he needs. He's only actually used the hammer one time. based on the count that we see. You hope that there are enough drones up for you to maybe get some information. And he's got plenty of time to maneuver this last drone that he has. Case right now under the feet of Virtue. So if the objective is what they want to do, then Eclipse is going to need to make sure that he can get it back. The problem with him now is he's going to be collapsed upon and he doesn't check behind him, as Citizen was lurking down below and waiting very patiently for his moment to strike. He does just that, and G2 finds their first round, though no momentum that they're going to be able to pick up on that first half as we switch sides.
Yeah, so woo, yeah, G2, let's go. And Junka in particular, great aggressive play. This is what you like to see, the confidence brimming. And Virtue goes undroned because, well, DarkZone's already lost 2 people, and they are the droners for the team. So a mistake early on for DZ, not finding Junka and not addressing him directly, that opens up the round for G2. Great. But as you said, Parker, and well put, it's a little too late there.
Yeah, you just squandered 5 rounds. Then that's going to be tough to claw back. Is it possible for G2 to win the map? Absolutely, it is. Is it likely at this point? That's a mighty tall ask. A 5-1 split is something that we don't see all that often.
Yeah, we really don't. You know, typically when a team takes the advantage of 4-2. That's recoverable. That's comfortable. You're looking all right.
That's the norm.
But I don't know. I'm not. We'll find out. I want to see what G2's got on attack because DarkZero had a lot in the reserve tank for attack, and I expect them to have similarly a lot on defense now. So what does G2 have to show us is the biggest question.
Yeah. What they do have to show us, though, is their wonderful esports skin.
Oh,
it just showed up on the bottom of your
Did
screen.
you miss
You
it?
can go R6 share, G2 obviously having their team skin, their icon. That is also available as a charm, and then their gun skin. So.
Yeah, if you didn't see it, you can check it out in the in-game shop. It's a great place to look at it, Google it, and maybe just purchase it to support the team.
If you want.
If you want.
If you want.
Yeah.
You make that
Your
decision.
prerogative.
Yeah, you make it, not us. But with that said, G2 bringing a very different look on their attack than what we saw at DarkZero. Ditto DarkZero on defense. Alibi will likely see quite a bit of play. She's already been played a number of times so far today by other teams. You're going to see her with some frequency. Why? Because they took Frost's sight away from her and they gave it to Alibi. Frost obviously is a big staple of Chalet in North America. It's something that DarkZero will have known when all of their NA counterparts tend to play this way. And I bet G2, given this defensive setup from DZ, looking quite similar to what we've seen out of them before, I'm sure G2 are prepared for this.
One thing on that Alibi pick, and I've seen Skies talk about this before, is the lack of a smoke. So you're bringing that Alibi for the fragging potential, and there's not even a 1.5 for NJR. He prefers the hollow, it seems.
Yeah.
That's fair. Whatever you prefer. But you're sacrificing some other very useful utility. Now, in DarkZero's case, they are on top of the mound. So they can take these risks, and they can see if the fragging potential of Alibi is sufficient. With NJR on 11 kills, I think it very likely will be. So not a problem here, but it is something to consider in other circumstances.
With the exception of that hold from Chimney that Hyper was playing off of, the DZ members that would have possibly taken up some of that map control over by Office or Master have to move from that position. And Jonka gives himself away by shooting away at the Alibi decoy, not quite realizing that the Prisma was there right in front of him. So he'll have to wait for that timer to run out. Halfway mark of the round, first attack for G2 in this half.
This has been a very good clear of the top floor. As you can see, those defenders have been forced down, and they're all currently on that middle floor. As the first pick comes out for Citizen, this is looking like a very good round for G2, and I love to see that. This gives us hope for the rest of this half. Now it's on DZ with a whole minute left to fight with their backs essentially against the wall in their own site.
Oh my, there's a trade-off now. NJR picks up kill number 12. A nice dozen for him on this map. Kayak drops. He's the only fatality so far for G2. They pick up the diffuser that was in his hands, and now it's Hungry to hold on to it. So we're over on the library stairs. Citizen tries to swing through the doorway. Nope, not able to do too much with it. And there goes an EE1D. Hungry trying to paralyze the defense. A 3v3 with 30 seconds to go means that there's going to be a ton of bloodshed, as this is once again a bar gaming defense. NJR reloads, but he's in a precarious position as they have control of the hatch above in G2's arms. He'll police that, and the other hatch that's now just opened as well. Eclipse gets a ping. Down goes Hungry. Case surrendered on the stairs. Virtue will now need to try to do something in the back of the bar, but he can't connect. Yonka is the one tagged to pick it up, and he'll go get it. But he knows it. There's a bulletproof there. NJR capitalizes yet again. 13 kills for him, and Jonka will get buried on the stairs as DZ moves to match point.
Wow. Wow, that is the... Okay, we've seen, obviously, a really awesome half from DZ in the first. Their attacks were great. But realistically, it never looked like DZ had lost control in that first half. They had firm control throughout. Their attacks are better. G2 needs to work on their defense. Done. So moving on here to this first round of the second half, G2, their attack was solid. They get those early picks. They get firm control. They force the roamers off of the top floor very early on, all things considered. And then it all falls apart, Parker. They can't convert it to a round win, and that is just impressive for DarkZone.
Yep. No, it was stalwart. We talked about the push coming in from G2 and how DZ, as you said, they had their backs against the wall and they were still able to make the pivot the way that they needed to.
Yeah.
Right now, just looking at the score line will tell you what the way that this matchup has gone. DarkZone have been very firmly in the driver's seat since the very first round. G2 starting to make some progress with 2 rounds in a row where they got the opening pick, but they only have 1 round to show for it. In terms of kills, G2 a sluggish start on the scoreboard, and right now, just adding up NJR and Eclipse gives you more kills than the rest of G2 combined. In fact, NJR alone has 13 kills to G2's 14. Strategy be damned when you're hitting those kinds of shots and you are playing as well as NJR is at the moment, who is 13-1.
And you know, I mean,
it doesn't really matter what G2's going to be able to do on this portion because you're just going to get clobbered.
And at this point, you gotta wonder, is there really much hope? It seems like no, but G2 did. I will say, G2 did give us a good attack last round. They just could not convert it to a round win. That is worth pointing out. They were proficient on the early picks. They had good control. But they've just not got the chops to turn it into a round win. And a big part of that also, no smoke, alibi instead. NJR though, hitting the shots. He gets those kills, and that is the excuse that you need to justify that pick.
That bulletproof camera that they had positioned on blue stairs though was pivotal. That was the final 3 kills for DZ, and the last 3 players on G2 all fell because of that camera being in that position, and nobody having the wherewithal to take care of it. In fact, I don't even know if they knew it was there, because it wasn't until the very final player, which I remember was Jonka, was put in that position. But like we say, Citizen so good on these opening duels through the last couple rounds, he will start it off, giving his team a 1-kill advantage on the Panbazou. Down goes the Wamai. Those magnets will no longer generate, which is obviously not ideal, because there's still 2 minutes left in the round. But Hyper trades back. He's swiftly dealt with as Citizen picks up his 2nd kill. Hungry position inside of that mudroom, just waiting. Eclipse is above him, but they don't know this. They'll pass like 2 ships in the night. And Eclipse heads over towards the bomb site, which, for those of you that might not have been paying attention, is upstairs in the bedroom.
So I actually really like, I want to talk about this real quick. We've got the Lion on G2. I really like that because DarkZone have been ruthless in getting refrags. They are always leaving themselves in a position to trade, whether on attack or defense, and the Lion is going to pay out very well for G2. I think it already has in this round, and that's partially why DarkZone has relinquished the control by library side and are now allowed to focus on this breach thanks to DarkZone's, back off.
Patience from Kayak, as he didn't know if a Nitro Cell was going to get tossed out. Seeing the lines carved into that reinforcement, you can hear the Velcro rip, and an explosive end might have been in his store, but no. So we'll go to the other panel now, as there's a narrow avenue into office that's been opened up. The rest of G2 still trying to hunt down these roamers. They don't have the map control that they want at this current point in the round. They have the numbers advantage, though, and that's working in their favor.
NJR is actually in a position to possibly make a play. I wonder if he will. We do also have, I think, one other defender primed to go downstairs. I think that's Eclipse. Yeah, he's actually already downstairs in Trophy, so he can make something happen. We've seen the roamers for DZ be successful so far. But here comes the potential initial take.
And a grenade will sail on by. Flash is going too. NJR tries to do some damage, softening them up. BC falls. G2's guns hitting their marks. Citizen's 3rd kill means NJR's in a 1v3. Diffuser's down, though. He'll need to be playing off of this very carefully, and he's not going to know that being pressured from the left and from the front, there's just too many angles. A 1v3 in that type of situation, that spells death for you. And as much as NJR has been a top performer for DZ, can't do much in that round.
I actually think that if NJR had the information, that he would have been able to win that round. Judging by his shots there, he was hitting them. If he had known that Hungary was going to peek him for piano, he would have won that fight. Convert it to the guy repelling in, that's another. Now you're in a 1v1. It's potential. I will say we've seen a gross underutilization of Valkyrie so far from defense on both teams. It's Chalet.
Hungary
so
played
many
her
places
once, if I remember correctly, and I think Citizen might have played her once, and that's it.
Not enough. And I think in this last round, we probably could have seen DZ utilize that information very well. But of course, that's just nitpicking. They get to decide what they pick, and honestly, they're up 6-2, so we're here. DZ, they're going to change their site up. They'll go to down.
G2 on defense did, in fact, bring multiple bulletproof cameras through most of the rounds.
That's true. They've been getting the information somehow.
And then we saw DarkZone do similar things, though they've, this particular instance, they're only bringing one in the hands of BC. So, and I mean, the very first defense for DarkZone, that bulletproof camera was easily the most crucial piece of utility on the map for that round. So,
if you can make it work, you can make it work, and I agree. I like that bulletproof a lot. Now we'll see if it's going to be another good one in this round. I wonder where BC put it. Looks like we've got a lot of roaming setup going on here.
This is a very spread out defense at the moment. It's going to be the very first defense, by the way, of the dining and kitchen sites.
For this team, for DarkZone?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's deceptive, right? Because it feels like we've been really deep into this game already, but they just started this half essentially. Yeah, I mean there's just one away. I didn't think that it was going to quite be like this, and I think that's also worth reiterating. We brought it up earlier. This is a lot more lopsided of a scoreline than I was expecting.
Yeah. Not just in terms of the rounds, but also what we've seen out of utility work, what we've seen out of kills. It's DZ leading the way just across the board, and I mean, it is Chalet. Chalet does play out, so the attackers typically have this advantage.
Typically, yeah.
Is it enough to give you a 5-1? No, we talked about that in the first half. A 5-1 is unlikely to be seen. But some juggling of the ADSs now as an E1D goes off and a grenade sails out, but no damage is done from that. Another one, but not from who you'd expect. Virtue throws it in, and the ADSs that have been placed by Panbazou earlier on end up taking that. He's still playing on the Solarium stairs, waiting. If there's a swing in from G2, he'll be there to catch them.
So there's actually nobody where G2's trying to nade, and DZ is currently well positioned to rebuff this attack. Oh, that almost, that could have possibly done some damage. Hungary's going to go down. I don't know how. Did he fall? He must have fell.
He must have fell off the roof.
Meanwhile, engagement's happening here, and NJR will get the lead off, technically speaking, as down goes Citizen for his team. That's a good answer back to the loss that we saw from BC earlier.
Obviously,
every time.
Wary of somebody in that room, so they'll pick Hungry back up. And oh no, Eclipse stands up at the wrong time as Virtue's pre-fire through the wall, and that caliber-based destruction was not necessarily intended for a kill, and yet it gets one either way. Still, DZ defending this kitchen bomb site. They had position upstairs. It was map control that G2 needed to desperately take away, and they've started to do that, especially now that Hungary is back up off the floor. And G2 has that advantage into this 4v3.
The control for DZ, though, is solid. They do have trophy still. They have kitchen well in hand, and they've got those gas canisters. Only one actually left for NJR. I believe they also are holding that west lobby. So yeah, this is a good setup for DZ. They can still take this. It all depends on that conversion we talked about from G2, which has been a problem for them in the past. So we'll just wait and see. But as they solidify their control upstairs, and they have that man advantage, they start opening up from above, things are looking good for G2.
Yeah, this is what I'd be worried about. I'd be worried about the fact that you had to get Panbazou back towards the site, which relinquishes that control of the top floor. And because of G2's advantage, they can continue to abuse that. But you also have to get the execute off. And Hungary sees that, loses the fight to NJR. Case is in the hands of Kayak. He's above, so he'll have to drop, and that could potentially be damning. He drops. NJR gets a quad for NJR. The only one left is Virtue from above.
What?
And the ace to seal the deal as DZ takes it 7-2.
NJR and ace with the SMG-11. What an impressive performance. I believe 19 kills for the man. You'll see that again on the analyst test when they go over to the actual stats, but just what a play. The man should not be allowed to wield that weapon. Someone's got to take it out of his hands.